Hi guys, good morning. So shall we start? Fine. So I think last class we saw Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, correct? Can someone tell me what was the formula or what was the statement given by Heisenberg? Guys, what was the statement given by
No,
Heisenberg?
no two opposite quantities can be measured simultaneously with perfect accuracy.
Correct, exactly. So no two opposite quantities, right? So opposite quantities in physics or chemistry, it can be either there are two sets which I told you, but only one set will be dealing with. First set is position and momentum, correct? So position and momentum cannot be measured with 100% accuracy when I measure it simultaneously, correct? And that's what we do in Bohr's model, correct? So we have a formula for radius which says that this is where the electron is present, and we have a formula for angular momentum also, nh by 2 pi, right? So that was one of the problem for Bohr's theory. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is actually a problem for Bohr's theory. Okay, fine. Next we went on to see quantum numbers, right? So we went on to see what is this quantum mechanical model, right? So quantum mechanical model is going to take in both wave nature and the particle nature together, right? So what was that symbol which we saw?
Psi,
Psi. So psi is called as what?
wave function.
Wave function.
Wave function, correct? So psi is actually a function. So like it's like sine or cos or tan or whatever it is, right? So it's actually a function, right? Okay, so as such, psi cannot be used anywhere, right? But if I square that function, if I write psi squared of x, what is it going to give me?
Probability of finding an
Probability.
electron.
Correct. So psi squared of x will give me the probability of finding the electron in a particular space, correct? Particular volume. It is going to tell me that okay, 60% chance that electron might be there, something like that, right? So now for this psi squared, or say for this psi, we have to give some inputs, right? So for that inputs, we went on to see what are these inputs are going to be the quantum numbers for an electron, correct? So we saw two quantum numbers. What was the first quantum number?
Principal quantum.
Principal quantum number.
Okay, principal quantum number, right? So principal quantum number, what is it? So I told you all four quantum numbers are going to answer four different questions, right? So what question does principal quantum number answer?
It tells what is the main shell.
What is the main shell?
Exactly. So it is going to talk about the main shell. Like say we have K, L, M, and all that, right? So it starts with one. Principal quantum numbers, the value starts with one, and all are going to be integers. If I see that the principal quantum number value is one, that means the electron is in the first shell. If it is three, that means electron is in the third shell. Correct. And then we went on to see the second quantum number, and that is what is it?
Azimuthal quantum number.
Azimuthal quantum number. Correct. So azimuthal quantum number is denoted by the letter L, right? So now this is going to answer the question of. This is going to answer the question of what?
The orbitals.
So it is going to answer the question of subshells. So now this is the first time you're reading about this, right? So I already told you that if at all I'm going to have a main shell. See, remember shells or say main shells. If I say shells, they are going to be called as orbits, right? So when I say subshells, they're going to be called as orbitals. Correct? Right? Okay, so the azimuthal quantum number is going to answer the question of what is the subshell or say what is the orbital, right? So we saw four different kinds of subshells. What are they? I gave you a name. There can be four different types of subshell.
SPDF.
SPDF.
Correct, right? So we have four different kinds of subshell called as S, P, D, F, S subshell, P subshell, D, and F subshell, right? Okay, and it's not like all the shells are going to have all these subshells, right? That's where we are going to see how the azimuthal quantum number values can be. So what can be the starting value? What can be the ending value for azimuthal quantum number? what is the starting value and ending value for azimuthal quantum?
0 and 3.
0 and 3. That's it. Does it not depend on the principal quantum number value?
Yes, in principal quantum number value.
So what is the value? What is the starting value? 0, correct. What is the ending value?
4.
Now only you said that it is going to depend upon the principal quantum number. So how do you tell that it is 3 or 4 or 5?
It goes on, sir.
So you remember this. So again, we'll see azimuthal quantum number. Okay. So second quantum number is azimuthal quantum number. It is denoted by the letter L, right? So this L can start with 0, right? And it can go on up to n minus 1. You have to remember this, right? So what is that? Principal azimuthal quantum number, right, is going to start with L, and it is going to go on up to n minus 1. That is the last value. N minus 1 was the last value. Isn't it? We saw this last class. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now when we say that n is equal to 1, so that means when I take the first orbit, or say when I take the first main shell, right? Now tell me, what are all the possible L values here? L value can only be 0. So it can start with 0 and goes up to n minus 1. What is n minus 1? N is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So the only possible value for azimuthal quantum number for the first shell is 0. Correct. And I told you, depending on what is the value for the azimuthal quantum number, right? Depending on what is the value for azimuthal quantum number, you will be able to predict what is the subshell or what is the orbital, right? Now that also I told you, whenever you see L is equal to 0, corresponds to what subshell?
S.
subshell.
Correct. So L is equal to 0 corresponds to, see guys, if you don't understand this, if you don't understand the concept of orbitals, entire 11th and 12th chemistry is gone. I'm telling you, right? So you have to know this, right? Okay. So L is equal to 0 corresponds to S subshell, right? So what do we mean by this? If I go to N is equal to 1, right, I have only one value of azimuthal quantum number. That means I have only one subshell. And what is the subshell? S subshell. Very simple. Now when I go, say I go for n is equal to 2, that is when I go for the second shell, when I go for the second orbit, right? Now what are all the possible L values? L value can start with 0 and the ending value is n minus 1. Here n value is 2. So 2 minus 1 will become 1.
One.
So 0 and 1. Both are possible. Correct? Right? So now I already know 0 corresponds to what? 0 corresponds to S subshell, right? And please remember, L is equal to 1 corresponds to P subshell. L is equal to 1 corresponds to P subshell. That's it, right? So now what do you understand from this? First shell contains only one subshell, right? Second shell contains two subshell, that is one S and one P subshell, right? Okay. Now when I say L is equal to 3, what are all the possible L values? 0, 1,
0, 1, 2.
It again starting with 0 to going up to n minus 1. So n minus 1, n is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, right? Now I already know L is equal to 0 corresponds to S, L is equal to 1 corresponds to P, and now L is equal to 2 is going to correspond to D. So L is equal to 2 corresponds to D orbital, right? So like that, when I have n is equal to 4, I will have values of 0, 1, 2, 3. All 4 subshells will be there, right? So at that case, the 4 corresponds to F orbital. So L is equal to 4 corresponds to F orbital. Okay. So this is what we saw last class, right? Principal quantum number and azimuthal quantum number, right? So principal quantum number is going to answer the question of what is the main shell, and the azimuthal quantum number is going to answer the question of what is the subshell or what is the orbitals present. Okay. So now, since you understood that there are going to be main shells and subshells, right? Now I told you we are not going to write the electronic configuration how how you have done before. So how do you write? You say that you have a formula of 2n squared, right? So 2n squared is the formula which tells me how many electrons can be placed in that particular shell. For example, say if I put 2n squared, right? So if I put 2n squared, if I say first shell, if I want to talk about the first shell, so when n is equal to 1, the maximum number of electrons which can be placed there is 2, right? So when I put n is equal to 2, the maximum number of electrons which can be placed is 8. And if I put n is equal to 3, it is going to become 18. So that is how you fill the electrons till now. That is the only way of electronic configuration you know. Correct? But from now on, we are not going to talk about electronic configuration in this way. Right? We are going to speak about electronic configuration only in terms of this SPDF orbitals. Okay, so fine. Now what you understand here is that if when I have first shell, right? When I have first shell, I have only one subshell, and that is my S subshell, right? So now how am I going to represent it? Right? How am I going to represent it? It's very simple. This is how you represent. So whenever you are going to talk about, okay, whenever I'm going to talk about these orbitals, first thing which will represent is the principal quantum number, right? So principal quantum number here is what? 1, right? Principal quantum number is 1, and it corresponds. And I have the value of L is equal to 0. That means it corresponds to S orbital. So how will I represent the orbital? Is I write it as 1s. I write it as 1s. This is the first shell or first place where the electron can go and sit. 1s is the orbital. 1 corresponds to the shell, and the first shell S orbital. That's what it means. Okay. Next, what I have next, that's it. In the first shell, I don't have any more subshells. That's it. This is the only possibility I have. Right. Now, when I go to n is equal to 2, right? I have 2 subshells. That is L is equal to 0 and L is equal to 1, and 0 corresponds to S and 1 corresponds to P. So now, how will I represent the second shell? Second shell, I have an S orbital. Same way. So first, the principal quantum number. Then what is the subshell? 2s. Right? Now, again, in the same shell, that is in the same second shell, I have one more suborbital. So that is my p shell. So how will I represent it? 2p. Are you able to understand? Right? Same way. Now, when I go for n is equal to 3, right? So n is equal to 3, I have s orbital, p orbital, and d orbital. Now, tell me how will you represent it?
3s, 3p, 3d.
Wonderful, super. So it is going to be 3s, 3p, 3d. Okay. Now, like say for like I'll tell you how many electrons can be placed and how are we going to write the electronic configuration. But for example, say I want to write the electronic configuration of lithium. Okay, I want to write the electronic configuration of lithium. Lithium is, say, atomic number is 3. Okay. Now, how are we going to use this to write the electronic configuration? I'll tell you. Right. So now at 3 electrons I have to go for, say, 1s, and okay, 1s is the first one. First shell, S subshell is there. So 1s2, 2s1. This is how you write the electronic configuration. That means what? In 1s, I have 2 electrons. In 2s, I have 1 electron. Totally 3 electrons.
Sir,
So is the max 2, sir?
2 is the second subshell.
So, I don't understand. 2 is the?
No, sir. In previous year, we wrote no, sir. K, L, M shell. For example, if it is lithium, we write 2,1. No, sir.
Correct. That's
so here also. Yes,
not exactly. Say if I go for now, S subshell can have a maximum of 2 electrons. Maximum. Okay. But when I go for P subshell, I can have a maximum of 6 electrons there. So anyways, we'll see that. Now I'm just giving you an idea. How are you going to write the electronic configuration?
It depends on the 2n squares, no, sir.
We can say that, but not exactly. That's what I'm telling. This is just an overall idea. When I go for the next 2 quantum numbers, you'll be able to understand exactly why is it only 2 electrons, why P can have 6 electrons, why D can have 10 electrons, all that, so on and so forth. Okay. So for now, this is just an idea. How are you going to write the electronic configuration, and how are you going to represent the orbitals? 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 3d, all that are there. Okay. Fine, we'll move on to the next quantum number. You don't have to worry about this now. Anyways, we'll see it again. We'll have a separate this thing for electronic configuration. Don't worry. Okay. So next quantum number, third quantum number, is what is called as magnetic quantum number. It is called magnetic quantum number. Okay. So magnetic quantum number is denoted by the letter M. Okay. And what question is it going to answer? What question is it going to answer? Okay. So now please understand that what to say. We are going to talk about the subshells here, right? So we are going to talk indirectly how many electrons can be placed maximum. What is the maximum number of electrons which can be placed in a particular subshell indirectly, right? So now how are you going to speak about it? Again, this is going to answer a question, right? The question it is going to answer is how many states for each subshell, right? How many states for each subshell, right? And please understand, if I know how many states are there, each state can have maximum of 2 electrons, right? So basically for s orbital, if I find that the number of state is 1, there is only one state possible, right? That means I have only one state, and I told you in each state maximum of 2 electrons are possible, right? In each state maximum of 2 electrons are possible, right? So anyways, we'll look into it. Okay, now we'll take the examples. We'll look at all the 4, that is s, p, d, f orbitals. Now please understand, the question is going to get answered here is how many states for each subshell, for all the subshells which I have, right? How many states are possible? States are the place where I have the electron to be placed, okay? And in each state of the subshell, I can have a maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, fine. So we'll start with L is equal. Okay, now next thing is how can be the M values, right? How can be the M values? Now M values are going to depend upon what is the L value, right? M values are going to depend upon what is the L value, right? So now this is how it is going to depend upon. M values can start with minus L, and it can go up to plus L, minus L to plus L, right? Magnetic quantum number can start with minus L and it can go up to plus L. Okay, please remember this. These 3 things you have to remember. Starting with how many magnetic quantum number is going to answer the question of how many states are there for each shell, right? And each state can have a maximum of 2 electrons. And how can be the M values? M values can be from minus L to plus L.
Sir, if it is 0, sir.
Exactly. 0 means there is no minus 0 plus 0. There is only one value possible there. Very simple. So when I go for L is equal to 0, this corresponds to s orbital, right? Now there is no question of now how can be M values? M values, I don't have minus 0, I don't have plus 0. So there is only one value possible, and that one value is 0, right? So how many states I have? So remember, the number of magnetic quantum numbers. I'm not talking about the value of the magnetic quantum number. That is not important. Please understand. Again, I repeat. The value of the magnetic quantum number is not important. How many numbers of magnetic quantum numbers I have? That is what is going to give me the number of states, right? So now what I understand, I have only one value. There is only one value of M, that is 0, right? So how many states now? This has only one state.
What is state, sir?
I'll tell you what exactly is state, right? State is basically where the electron is going to get placed, right? So for s orbital, if I have an s orbital, there is only one state. One state means there is only one box in which electron can be placed. And in each box, I can have only 2 electrons. And in each box, I can have only 2 electrons. So how will I place the electron also matters, right? So basically, I'll place the electron like this. One electron like this, one electron like this. Now again, there is a reason why we do like this. One pointing up and one pointing down. Now this talks about the rotation. We'll see about it in the next quantum number. So please understand now that M value is 0 for L is equal to 0. That is corresponds to s orbital, right? I have only one possible value for M. So how many states? There is only one state. So s orbital can have only one state. It can have a maximum of only 2. Like I told you, how many ever states? Twice will be the maximum number of electrons which can be placed. Each state can have a maximum of 2 electrons. So s orbital has only one state. So only 2 electrons are possible. Any of the s orbital, 1s or 2s or 3s or 4s or whatever it is, all these s orbitals can have only one state. Okay, so now when I go for L is equal to 1, what it corresponds to? P orbital, right? Now what are the M values possible? M values possible are minus 1. It starts with minus 1, goes up to plus 1. basically minus L to plus L, right? So L is equal to 1. So it starts with minus 1, 0, plus 1. These three are the values possible for magnetic quantum number, correct? L is equal to 1 corresponds to M values can be minus 1, 0, and plus 1, right? So how many states now? Tell me how many values I have? 3 values
Three.
I have. Again, it is not about the value of the magnetic quantum number. It is about how many magnetic quantum numbers I have. I have 3 magnetic quantum numbers. So obviously I have 3 states, right? So p orbitals can have 3 states. So how will I represent the p orbital? This is how I represent. So whenever I have a p orbital, either it's 2p, 3p, 4p, 5p, whatever it is, this is how I represent. 1, 2, 3. Right? Again, in each state, I can have 2 electrons. So totally, I can have 6 electrons placed in a p orbital maximum. Totally, I can have 6 electrons placed in a p orbital. Yeah.
Suppose if my L value is 1, sir, so negative of 1, 0, and plus 1 is there, no, sir.
Okay.
So each one is a state.
Exactly. Each one is a state. So this corresponds to minus 1, this corresponds to 0, this corresponds to plus 1.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. There is only here it is only one value, and this corresponds to 0. Okay, fine. Now when I go for d orbital, we'll see what happens. Right. So when I go for L is equal to 1, sorry, L is equal to 2. L is equal to 2 corresponds to d orbital, right? So now how can be the m values? It can start again minus L to plus L, right? So minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. These are all the possible m values, correct? So how many states I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 states I have. So this has 5 states, right? So now how will I represent a d orbital? I have a d orbital. It is now going to have 5 states. It is now going to have 5 states, and obviously each state can have a maximum of 2 electrons. So since I have 5 states, what is the maximum number of electrons? 10 electrons. Right? D can have a maximum of 10 electrons. And so again, right from starting, S can have a maximum of 2 electrons, P can have a maximum of 6 electrons, D can have a maximum of 10 electrons. Maximum value. We're not talking about the minimum value, we're talking about the maximum value. Right? Okay, next. Again, this corresponds to minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. These are all the state values. Okay, fine. Now we'll move on to last, that is my f orbital. Now again, I think you'll be able to easily predict it, right? So L is equal to 3 when I have this corresponds to f orbital, right? So now I can have m values from minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2, and plus 3. Correct? So how many values now? Totally 7 values. So 7 states. Right? So each state can have a maximum of 2 electrons. So how many electrons f orbital can have maximum? Maximum it can have 14 electrons. F orbital can have a maximum of 14 electrons. Okay. So guys, did you understand magnetic quantum number? Everybody understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
it's very
sir.
simple, right? Okay, so the magnetic quantum number indirectly tells you how many electrons maximum can be placed in a particular subshell, right? You have to remember this. S means 2, P means 6, D means 10. F also you don't have to remember. F you will not be using much, right? But these three, S, P, D, you have to remember. S2, P6, D10. Okay, fine. Now last magnetic quantum number is very simple. It is not, okay. We'll move on to the last magnetic quantum number. And that is my spin quantum number. And it is known by the letter S. Spin quantum number. It is known by the letter S. Okay, right. So now S value, again, it is not going to depend upon any of the quantum numbers, right? S value is not going to depend upon any of the quantum numbers. Now again, it has to answer a question, isn't it? The question it is going to answer is what is the direction of rotation of an electron, right? It answers the question of what is the direction of rotation. See, please understand how your planets revolve around the sun, right? So there are two kinds of motion for Earth. Earth is a planet, obviously it revolves around the sun, correct? So Earth has two kinds of motion. We already know it. One is revolution and one is rotation. What is revolution? Revolution is like this, right? And rotation is coming around. Right? I think I'm telling you the opposite, isn't it? Rotation
Yes,
is like
sir.
this, right? And revolution is coming around. Correct? Okay. So anyway, so we are going to talk about how does the rotation here, right? Now I can have two types of rotation, right? So now I can have something like this. It can go on, basically I have a point. This is the electron. Now this electron can either go in this way, that is clockwise direction, or this electron can go in the opposite direction, that is my anti-clockwise direction, right? Now there are only two possible ways of rotation. Again, I repeat, there are only two possible ways of rotation, one in the clockwise direction and one in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, one in the clockwise direction and one in the anti-clockwise direction, right? So basically that's what I told you. There can be only two possible S values, right? One corresponding to clockwise, another corresponding to anti-clockwise. So okay, so I'll just give you the values directly, right? So for clockwise rotation, right, S value is plus half. For clockwise rotation, S value is plus half. Actually, it is not required that clockwise should be plus half. We can even have minus half and plus half alternate changed. But just to avoid confusion, we'll fix this. Okay. So if I have clockwise rotation for an electron, right? If I have clockwise rotation for an electron, I can have the S value to be plus half. Right? Okay. And lastly, when I go for anti-clockwise rotation, right, that for that S value is minus half. That's it. So total spin will be 0. Total spin will be 0 because plus half plus minus half will become 0. Okay. So remember for that. So if you can remember, I told you for an S orbital, I put an electron. I can have a maximum of 2 electrons, but I put the electron like this. Right? What does it indicate? This electron is undergoing spin in one direction, and this electron is going for spin in another direction. That is why I put like this. You cannot put 2 electrons like this. You should never ever put like this. In the same state, you should not put the electrons like this.
Why,
You should always. Why? I'll tell you. Because there is a rule coming up. Right? There's a rule coming up which it says that we cannot do this. We'll see what are the rules. Right? Fine. So you understood all the 4 quantum numbers, right? So fine. Now understanding what is quantum numbers alone is not sufficient, right? For me to write the electronic configuration in terms of SPDF, right? Obviously, first step is to understand the quantum numbers, but that is not the only requirement, right? There are going to be certain laws. There are going to be certain laws which you have to follow. There are basically 3 laws, right? So those 3 laws also has to be made sure that you're going to follow it while writing the electronic configuration. Okay. Fine, shall we move on? Any doubts in quantum numbers, guys?
Is there anything like the arrow mark that points up, sir, inside the box?
I don't understand what you're telling.
Inside the box, there's one arrow mark, no, sir?
Yeah, that is talking about the electron. One electron, second electron.
Does it say which direction?
Doesn't matter. Basically, you should have 2 opposite spins in the same state. Maybe this is anti-clockwise, this is clockwise. You can take it however you want it. I can even write it like this. Sorry. 1 down and 1 up. So it doesn't matter. Basically, what you have to make sure is you are not putting same spins in the single state. You have to put opposite.
Okay, so it's just showing that opposite directions. Electrons
Exactly. It's just showing that in the same state, the electrons are there in the opposite spins. 2 electrons are there in the opposite spins.
Okay, sir.
That is why.
Then
Okay.
S electron, how will we, like, what will be the value, sir? Will the value change for every electron or will it be the same?
No. That means, see, for example, if I go for P subshell, right? Now, if I have to fill 6 electrons, so 6 electrons I will fill like this. So what you see here, in each state, I put 2 electrons, right? And those two electrons are of opposite spins. Are you able to understand? So for these two electrons, the only two possible values for S values plus half and minus half, because one is undergoing clockwise spin, another is undergoing anti-clockwise spin. This value is not going to change. Whichever the orbital you have, it is not going to change. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So anyways, you will have more quality, more clarity when I go for the loss. Okay, why we have to put only like this? Why should I not put it like this or like this? Okay, so we'll look into it. Okay, so we are going to speak about loss, and those laws are going to be used to determine the electronic configuration, right? So the first law among them is what is called as Aufbau's principle. Aufbau's principle. AFBAU. Aufbau's principle. Right? Take the statement first. Right? Yeah, the statement goes like this. While filling the electrons in the orbitals, the electrons has to be, while filling the electrons in the orbitals, the electrons has to be first filled. The electrons has to be filled in the lower energy orbitals first. The electrons has to be filled in the lower energy orbitals first, and then to the higher energy orbitals, and then to the higher energy orbitals. That's a statement. Okay, I'll repeat the statement. While filling electrons in the orbitals, right, the electrons has to be filled in the lower energy orbitals first, then only you have to go for the higher energy orbitals. Okay, basically what you have to fill the electrons in the ascending order of energies of orbitals, right? You have to fill the electrons in the ascending order of energy. First the lower energy, next little higher, then like that only you have to fill the electrons. Understood? Now the next question which comes, sir, how will we know which has lesser energy, which has higher energy? How will we know that? And I'm going to give you a way for that. Right? So now this is what is the way. Remember, energy value of the orbitals. Energy value of the orbital. The for you to determine the energy, when you want to compare the energies of different orbitals, right? So the first thing you will look is about the n plus L value. You are going to look at the sum of the principal quantum number and the azimuthal quantum number, right? You're going to look at the sum of principal quantum number and azimuthal quantum number. Okay, fine. Let me give you an example, right? So that means more and more n plus L value, more and more is the energy. So the electron first has to be filled with a orbital which is having lesser n plus L value. Then I have to go for the orbital which is having higher n plus L value. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So now we'll take an example. Say I want to compare 1s and 2s. 1s and 2s, right? So now let me take the n value. What is the n value here, guys? What is the n value for 1s? Huh?
1,
Correct. N value is 1. What is the L value?
0.
Super. So now when I sum them up, I'm going to get plus 1. Right? Okay. Now here, what is the N value?
2,
2. L value?
1, 0.
0. S means 0. That's me. Wherever it is, whether it's in 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, S value means L value is 0. right? So now what is the value? 2. So obviously what I understand is first I have to fill 1s, then only I have to go for 2s. Now let me compare 2s and 2p. Let me compare 2s and 2p. Now what is the n value?
2.
2. What is the L value?
1.
Super. L value is 1. So now what do you see here? Now here it is 3. So obviously first I have to go for 1s, then 2s, then only I have to go for 2p. Right? So obviously now when I go for 3s, now look at this. When I go for 3s, what is the n value?
3.
3. What is the L value?
0.
Oi, L value is 0.
0.
Right. So what is the total sum? 3. Now look at this. I have both of them having same n plus L value. Now in these cases, what will you do? We'll see that. So first step is to look at n plus L values, right? And if you find that two of the orbitals like this are having same n plus L values, next thing what you have to look at is n value. Right? Now this you have to go on and only when the n plus L values for two orbitals are same. If not, that is the only criteria. If you find that the n plus L value is same, then you have to look at the n value. Whichever is having a higher n value will have more energy. So obviously now both of them are having 3 and 3 n plus L value, but which has a higher principal quantum number? This has higher principal quantum number. So definitely the energy of 3s is greater than 2p. Are you able to understand, guys, what I'm trying to tell?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, so first I have to look at the n plus L value, and I'll be able to easily do this like this, right? If at all you find that the n plus L value is same, then you have to look at the n value. More and more n value, more and more energy. Here both of them are having 3, right? But this has a higher principal quantum number, right? So this will have more energy. Okay, fine. So next, now same thing can happen with, okay, right? So next we'll go for 3s is over. Now I'll go for 3p, right? So when I go for 3p, what is the n value?
3.
3. What is the L value?
1.
1. Right? 0 corresponds to S, 1 corresponds to P. So total is 4. So definitely this will have higher energy, right? Say when I go for 3D, now what should be the case? N value is 3, L value is
2.
2. Great. So now it is 5. Right? So obviously that will have higher energy. Next, what is there? I have 4s. Right? Now 4s, n value is 4, L value is
4.
0.
0.
who is that guy who's keeping on increasing the principal quantum number? Who was it? Okay, I'll find it out. Okay, fine. So now what is total? 4. Now look at this. 3D has 5 and 4s has 4. So which has to come first? 4s should come before 3D, right? So now if I write it properly, I will write it as after 3p what should come? After 3p 4s should come, and then only 3D should come. Again, this has 4, this has 4. But now what will I do? I'll look at the n. I look at the n value. Both of them has n plus L value as 4. If I look at the n value, this has 4 as the principal quantum number, so this will have more energy. And then this. Okay, so this you have to guys remember. Starting with, sorry.
One doubt, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, SPDF only will come, no, sir.
Okay, SPDF will come. Okay.
How 4s came, sir?
For 3. Okay, for n is equal to 3. That is the principal quantum number when I have 3. What are all the possible L values, Karna?
0, 1, 2.
Okay, 0, 1, 2. So 0 corresponds to S, 1 corresponds to P, and 2 corresponds to D. Do I have a F orbital there for 3?
No, sir.
Understood? Right? So obviously, or you can say, I have the same question here also. So here I have only 1S. Why not 1P, 1D, 1F didn't come? The same reason. It is going to depend upon what shell I have. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So guys, you have to remember this, right? Starting with 1s, 2s, 2p, then 3s, 3p, then 4s, 3d. Till this you have to remember. There is no other go for you. Okay. After this, okay, if at all I can tell you, after this 4p will come, right? After this 4p will come, right? Okay, so till 4p at least you have to remember, right? Okay, so 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, 3d, 4p.
So it is in increasing order now, sir.
This is the increasing order. Basically, the first electron always has to go to 1s, then 2s, then 2p, then 3s, then 3p, 4s, 3d, and 4p. This order, if you don't want to mug up, actually it will eventually you will become used to this because you will be using at least like million times in the chemistry part of 11th and 12th, right? But still, for starting purposes, you have to remember the order in which I'm going to fill the electrons. Okay, now again you can ask why 4p. So 4n is equal to 4, L is equal to 1. Again I have 5, right? So 3d also will have 5. If I calculate, L is n is equal to 2, L is equal to, sorry, n is equal to 3, L is equal to 2. So again 5. But again, principal quantum number for this it is more. So 4p will be higher in energy. Okay, right? So at least till 4p you have to remember, guys. There is no other go. Okay. So if you can remember this value, remember the order, then one thing is done. One of the laws are done. So we are talking about Aufbau's principle here, right? Aufbau's principle says the lower energy orbital has to be filled first. Then only correspondingly you have to go for higher energy orbitals, filling of electrons. Okay. Any doubts here, guys? Everything is clear.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Fine. Now we'll move on to the next law. First law is over. Aufbau's principle is over. Right? Right. Second law under this is Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. HUND. Hund. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Right. Take down the statement first. Right. When electrons are filled in degenerate orbitals, when electrons are filled in degenerate, after degenerate put a bracket. Degenerate means same energy, right? If electrons are filled in degenerate brackets same energy orbitals, when electrons are filled in degenerate brackets same energy orbitals, the orbitals has to be singly filled first. The orbitals has to be singly filled first.
The singly spelling, sir.
SINGLY. The orbitals has to be singly filled first. And then only pairing has to happen. And then only pairing has to happen. Okay, I repeat the statement, right? So when electrons are filled in degenerate brackets same energy orbitals, the orbitals, all of them, has to be singly filled first, and then only pairing has to happen. That is the statement. Okay, so now first you have to understand what are these degenerate orbitals, right? What are these degenerate orbitals. Okay, actually I forgot to tell you certain terminologies. Now, when I go for p orbital, now s orbital will not be even using this. We will be using only this in p and d orbitals. Okay, s orbital, because s orbital is only one state, right? But p orbital has how many states? P orbital has how many states?
2.
3 states. Now again, if it all, how will you remember this? What is the value of principal quantum number for P? What is 1, right? So if I look at the m values, what are the values? Minus 1, 0, plus 1. That means there are 3 states, right? So now I know how to represent the 3 states. Now this is what is the 3 states, right? So actually the 3 states, the 3 p orbitals, basically 3 states means 3 p orbitals, something like that, right? So I can give names of these orbitals also. So one is called as px, another is called as py, and the last one is called as pz, right? Last one is called as pz. Okay, same way when I go for d orbital, I know I have 5 states, right? So the 5 states, there's a name for this also. So I have something called as dxy. Now you have to remember this, guys. There's no other go. So px, py, pz. Those are the 3. That is very easy to remember. Px, py, and pz. Right? So next is dxy, dyz, dxz. These 3 are easy. For d orbital, there are 2 more. Another one is dx squared minus y squared and dz squared. You have to remember these 5 d orbitals as name. Okay, so dxy, dyz, dxz. I'm just talking about there are 5 states. I'm just giving names to all the 5 states. And same way, there are 3 states. I gave all the names to all these 3 states as px, py, and pz. For d orbital, it is dxy, dyz, dxz, dx squared minus y squared, and dz squared. Right? And all of these will have some shapes also that we'll see later, right? All of these d orbitals will have different shapes, and I mean all the not different shapes, almost similar shapes, but still little difference will be there. Okay, fine. So what we're speaking about is about degenerate orbitals, right? So now we assume that we're talking about 2p. We're talking about 2p orbital, right? Now 2p orbital will have again these 3 states, right? 2px, 2py, and 2pz. Again, each state can have a maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, fine. Now assume that I have a configuration somewhere that I'm having 2p4, right? In 2p orbital, I have 4 electrons, or say first we'll talk about 3 electrons, right? So first we'll talk about 2p3. That is, in 2p I have 3 electrons present. Okay, and these orbitals are of same energy. Correct? Px, py, and pz. 2px, 2py, and 2pz have same energy. How same energy? Because they have same n plus l value, same n value also. Or for all of them, l value is 0 only, right? And for all of them, n value is 2 only. Principal quantum number for all of them is 2, and the azimuthal quantum number for all of them is 1. Because all are p orbitals, right? They have same energy. Same goes with all these 5 states of the d orbital, right? All of them has L value as 2, and N value can depend. N value can be 3 or 4. It depends. All of them will have the same N and same L value, right? So whenever you have these kind of cases, right, you have to follow Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Whenever you have degenerate orbitals, you have to follow Hund's rule. And what it says, just look at the statement. The first electrons has to be singly filled in the states, and then only pairing has to happen. The electrons has to be singly filled in all these states, and then only pairing has to happen, right? So now I have 2p3, right? This is how you have to fill the electrons here. You have to fill the electrons like this: 1, 1, 1. This is so far. You're not able to see, I guess. First electron, second electron, third electron. This is how you should fill. You should not fill it like this. No, this is absolutely wrong, right? Since these are degenerate orbitals, 1 electron, 1 electron, 1 electron, then only you have to go for the 4th electron to the next orbital, right? So now, for now, say I have 2p4. Now, how will I write this? First, I have to put one electron each of these boxes. Then the fourth electron has to go here. Right? Say when I go for 2p5, again, one electron, then 4, then 5. Then if it is 2p6, 1, 1, 1, then 3, 4, sorry, 1, 1, 1, that is becomes 3, then 4, 5, 6. Understood what is Hund's rule? Right?
Yes,
Whenever
sir.
you go for Hund's rule,
Yes.
whenever you go for degenerate orbitals, first you have to singly fill them. Then only everything is completely singly filled. Then only you have to go for what is that? Pairing has to happen. Right? So now if at all I have only two, okay, we'll go for d orbital. We'll take the example. Similar, very, very, very similar to this. Right? Say when I say I have D2 configuration, some T, say 3D2 configuration. At the end, I have some 3D2. 2 electrons are there in d orbital. Right? Now d orbital has 5 states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Now there are only 2 electrons. So 2 electrons has to fill like this. You cannot put both the electrons in the same shell. No. Right? You should not put it like this. No, this is absolutely wrong. Right? So everything has to singly fill first, and then only pairing has to happen. Right? So I'll give you a few more examples. I'd say I have 3D6, or first I'll talk about 3D5. Right? So 3D5, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First I have to singly fill them. This is how I fill 5 electrons in the d orbital. If it is 3D6, then I'll put 1 electron here. 3D7, 1 more electron. 3D8, 3D10, then all the electrons will be paired. Are you able to understand? Right? So this is what is Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Right? Okay. Now the last rule, what is the time? Okay. I'll just give the statement at least. Right? So Aufbau's principle spoke about the energies, and according to the ascending order of energies, only you have to fill the electrons. And Hund's rule talks about the degenerate orbitals, and degenerate orbitals, first they have to singly fill them, and then only pairing has to happen. Very simple, right? Now the last rule is Pauli's exclusion principle. Pauli's exclusion principle. Right? You take a statement, take down the statement. No two electrons can have all the 4 quantum numbers. No two electrons can have all the 4 quantum, okay, no two electrons can have all the 4 quantum numbers to be same. No two electrons can have all the 4 quantum numbers to be same. That's the statement. Now it's a very, very simple. Now this is the reason why we are putting one, and say if I take one single state, right? If I take one single state, now this gives me the reason of why I am putting one electron in clockwise, another electron in anti-clockwise. Okay, we'll go into like a little better example. Right? Say I have 1s2. Okay, 1s2, and I know how am I going to fill them. And there's only one state, so there is no case of degeneracy and all that. So I put electrons like this. Correct? Right? So fine. So for both these electrons, I will see what are all the quantum number values. Okay. Now tell me, for this electron, what is the n value?
1.
Tell me guys, for this electron, what is the n value?
1.
1. Correct? Because it's first shell. What is the L value?
0,
0, right? What is the M value?
0,
0, right? What is the S value? S value, say it's assuming that I'm going to have, what is that? Clockwise spin. Assuming, say it is plus half. Right, okay. Same way for this, N value is 1. It's same S orbital only, so L value is 0. Same S orbital, M value is 0. But what is the S value now? S value is?
anti-clockwise, minus half.
Exactly. So you can see that no two electron, not only these two electrons, if you take any two electron in the electronic configuration, right, you cannot have all the 4 quantum numbers to be same. I can have maximum of 3 quantum numbers to be same. But if you look at the spin quantum number, at least that will be different. One will be clockwise spin, another will be anti-clockwise spin. This is how you have to fill the electrons, right? Now you understood the reason why am I putting it like this, right? One clockwise and one anti-clockwise, because I have to follow Pauli's exclusion principle, right? You cannot violate any of these 3 laws, right? Of-course principle, Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, and Pauli's exclusion principle, all of them have to be followed perfectly for you to fill the electronic configurations. Okay, so hope you understand why I'm exactly putting like one top and one bottom, because I should have at least one of the quantum numbers to be different. Okay, fine. So that's it for today, guys. Yes, doubt?
It can be even first minus half and then plus half.
No problem, no problem. This can be minus half, this can be plus half. No problem, no problem.
Okay, sir.
No problem. Okay, fine. Right, so we saw quantum numbers, we saw the rules, and next class we'll be seeing, we'll take some examples, right, and we'll try to fill the electronic configurations of so many elements. And then I told you we have to see what are all the shapes of these orbitals, right? What is the shape of S orbital? What is the shape of P orbital? What is the shape of D orbital? All that we'll see next class, and that's it. We'll be completing this chapter. Okay, fine. Any doubts, guys, till now in this part?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Fine then. So we'll see day after tomorrow, right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.